Some people don't leave loudly. They don't argue, beg, or explain. They just disappear. And the most confusing part is this. They were the ones who cared the most. They listened carefully, remembered details you forgot you mentioned, stayed patient when things became difficult, and tried to understand you when no one else did. So when they leave quietly, without closure, without warning, it doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes you. Your mind keeps circling one question: what did I miss? You replay conversations late at night, reread old messages searching for hidden meaning, and look for the exact moment where things shifted. The more you search, the more unsettled you feel. If you've ever been left by someone who felt emotionally deep, calm, and understanding, this explains the reason they never said out loud. Emotionally deep people don't leave because they stop caring. They leave because caring slowly becomes unsafe. At the beginning, they stay longer than they should. They give more chances than most people would, excuse behavior that quietly hurts them, and explain their feelings carefully, hoping clarity will create closeness. They believe understanding can fix distance, patience will eventually be noticed, and love means enduring discomfort. They choose empathy over ego, connection over control, and understanding over being understood. But something begins to change inside them. Not suddenly, not dramatically, quietly. They start noticing patterns they once ignored. They notice how their needs are minimized, their emotions tolerated rather than respected, and their vulnerability met with distraction instead of presence. They see how they are always the one adjusting, softening, and waiting. They notice how effort becomes inconsistent, affection appears only when convenient, and conversations feel one-sided even when no one is arguing. And they don't complain right away, not because they don't feel the pain, but because they're trying to protect the bond they still value. Emotionally deep people don't react immediately to hurt, they absorb it. Their nervous system doesn't explode, it records. Every interrupted sentence, every dismissed concern, every moment their feelings were met with "you're overthinking" is stored quietly. This is why when they finally leave, it feels sudden to you, but for them, it wasn't sudden at all. Emotionally deep people are highly sensitive to emotional safety. They don't just hear words, they feel tone, consistency, and presence. They sense emotional distance long before it becomes obvious. They notice when responses grow shorter, curiosity fades, and effort feels forced. While you thought things were fine, they were already grieving the version of the relationship they hoped for but never received. They don't leave at the first red flag. They leave after explaining it to themselves hundreds of times. They ask internally if they're asking for too much, if stress is the reason, if timing is the problem, or if they should explain things differently. They blame circumstances, timing, and often themselves. They turn inward instead of outward. This is where the real damage happens. When an emotionally deep person stops expressing pain, it doesn't mean they're okay. It means they're preparing to detach. Detachment doesn't arrive loudly, it arrives calmly. It looks like emotional neutrality, reduced expectations, and quiet acceptance. They stop initiating difficult conversations, stop asking for reassurance, and stop explaining how something made them feel. From the outside, it looks like peace, but it isn't peace, it's resignation. They realize that love without emotional safety becomes self-abandonment, and emotionally deep people will sacrifice themselves for connection until they can't anymore. This is why they don't fight when they leave. They've already done the fighting internally. They fought to understand you, to stay patient, and to silence the instinct to walk away long before they actually did. By the time they go silent, every conversation has already happened inside them, every boundary has already been crossed, and every disappointment has been processed privately. Emotionally deep people don't want closure, they want understanding.
They don't need long explanations, they need emotional recognition. They want to feel seen without proving their pain, and acknowledged without debate. When they realize they will never receive that, they stop trying to be understood. That is the moment they leave quietly. From the outside, it can look cold, detached, or even cruel, but psychologically, it is self-protection. Staying would require shrinking, repeating feelings that aren't being heard, and lowering emotional standards just to maintain connection. So they choose distance, not because they stopped caring, but because they cared enough to stop hurting themselves. This is also why they don't come back easily, not because they're stubborn, but because once emotional trust breaks at that depth, it doesn't repair with apologies alone. Words cannot replace presence, promises cannot replace consistency, and intentions cannot replace emotional effort. Their nervous system learned that leaving felt safer than staying, silence felt calmer than being misunderstood, and distance hurt less than hoping. If you're watching this because someone like this left you, here is the difficult truth. They didn't leave to punish you, test you, or see if you would chase them. They left because they already tried to stay. And if you're watching this because you are that person, the one who leaves quietly, remember this: your depth, empathy, and emotional awareness were not the problem. The problem was staying where your emotional language was never spoken. Emotionally deep people don't disappear, they withdraw to survive, and once they do, they rarely explain.